Okay, everything seems to be working. So I guess I'm gonna pull up hardware bot on my end so that I vaguely know what a 3080 Ti should do. And I'm not sure which 3Dmark I'm gonna start with. I kind of want to start with Vantage, but I have hyperthreading turned on, so that's a bit of a problem. And TimeSpy also doesn't like hyperthreading on a 9950X, so that's awkward. I guess Firestrike then. Thing is, the 9950X isn't even good at Firestrike. So yeah, we're gonna start with Firestrike, I guess. GOC 20. I don't have the GOC 2021 tool. Is that in the hardware bot thread with all the overclocking tools? Cuz like I didn't even know that exists. No, you can well then DM it. Cuz yeah. Like I obviously don't have it and I don't know where to get it. And do I need to run this at freaking like less than 1080p? Like I do this so that the videos are more legible, but like no, we're gonna stay at 900p. This is gonna be so CPU bottlenecked, I bet. Like, Firestrike already doesn't like Ryzen on a freaking 1080. This is gonna be so CPU bottlenecked, it's just not even gonna be funny. Man, I can see it stuttering on my end. Though that might just be the capture card. But that does not look smooth. This is like a chance that like the memory settings or something aren't super stable. But I think it's actually just Ryzen being Ryzen. And Firestrike being Firestrike. Man, 3080 Ti's aren't worth any points. That's lame. Yeah, there's only like 23 3080 Ti submissions for regular Fire. Oh wait, I'm looking at the GPU subtest. No, I mean overall Firestrike. I don't think that's much better though. Okay, no, that's actually there's more than 50. Oh, there's 70. Okay. Man, the combined test has coil whine. Also, the combined test actually runs really, like, nicely. Actually, one other thing I wanted to try is with the 3080 Ti is my own game. Because I've been kind of, like, I tried it with, like, a 1080, and I'm pretty sure it hit a GPU bottleneck. Anyway, so that score is horrendous, unsurprisingly. The GPU was running at just under 2 gigahertz. Yeah, like 1965. Okay, that's not just under, that's actually pretty far off. Max temp was 60 on the hotspot, so that's good, considering we're on air cooling. It is deshrouded because the card, like, the fans were broken when I bought it. So I've given up on running the fans, but, oh, I have system info turned off. Oh, that is bad. Turning system info on makes Firestrike even slower than it usually is. Anyway, before I do that, I wanna quickly check. Because I did actually want to check this. I guess I could have done this before the stream. Wait, this isn't even 1080p, so this is not gonna be. There we go. We're just gonna keep it windowed. Where's my GPU Z again? Oh. Man, the card is screaming right now. Yeah, well, it would be, because the thing is, well, we can't see it on the main menu, but there is no frame rate limiter, so it will run stupid, like, high frame rates if left to its own devices. We'll just set that, and test zone. Wait for it to load. Shader comp kicking in, because we're just going to park up here, and I think I need to look down a bit. Oh, boy. Huh. That is interesting. That is very, very interesting. I think that might just be the resolution, though. Might just be the resolution doing it. My daily system is an ultra-wide, so I guess we're going to try 2560 by 1600, because that should be kind of close to the, well, closer. Huh, it still runs higher FPS. I guess the single core boost on the 9950X really, really helps with my incredibly single-threaded AI. Because, like, all of these little guys running around, every single one of them is on the same thread as the player and, well, literally everything else. Because I don't know how to do multi-threading. Multi-threading is hard. I'm actually going to aggro them. Whoa. This actually runs way better than it runs on my daily system. Oh, we got some shade. I didn't fire off that attack, so that had shader comp on it. Oh, well, man. Playing through the capture card with, like, sky-high mouse sensitivity is not ideal for me. Yeah, nope, this doesn't work. But yeah, this runs better than the 7800X3D does. So I imagine on a 14900K, it might run even better. Cool. Good to know. I should learn to multi-thread my code. Anyway, back to 3Dmark. So we need to turn system info on. I wonder what the temp maxed out at. Oh, it's still 61. 3000 FPS menus. Well, yeah, because if you don't, like... I mean, I guess I could ship the game with, like, a 400 FPS cap right out of the box or something. To deal with that. But like if you don't like if I don't limit it, it's just gonna render as many frames as possible. Which incidentally, it doesn't even end up pulling that much power. It maxed out at like 300. So yeah. Oh wait, we don't have a fan speed, so that doesn't matter. Oh man, the power limit like doesn't go anywhere. That's lame. Okay, well we'll see what that alone does for Firestrike. Actually, wait a minute. Is this thing set up right now? Oh yeah, it is. Okay, cool. So we can see this full system power draw. You're on Twitch too? No, I don't dual stream because that's like, I don't know how to set it up. Or, yeah, because I literally haven't even looked into setting that up. So I just actually don't. You know, okay, I'm wondering, do the black bars go away if I run it at full 1080p? Because that might help. Like my Twitch account is basically exclusively gaming streams, and this YouTube gets the overclocking streams. I did kind of consider sending this to Twitch, but the thing is, like, there's been a bit of a content shortage on my YouTube channel recently, so this is totally not gonna fix that. You know what? Maybe the upscale, like, maybe the resolution thing is a problem. I guess streaming at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. on a Monday wasn't the brightest idea I had. Maybe make a video on X870 and X870E soon. So the issue I have with doing that is that I have like 2 boards and I'm not very impressed by either of them. It's kind of funny. I had much lower standards for what was a like viable video when I didn't have access to so much hardware. You expect the memory situation for the 9950X 3D to meaningfully change compared to not? What do you mean by that? Like, it's gonna suddenly be more memory bottlenecked? No. Or you mean like it's gonna get a better memory controller? No, it won't, because it uses the same I/O die as a 7000 series. Thanks for the 50 Australian dollars? It's people like you that encourage the next generation of overclockers. Thank you for all your time, effort, and simply being yourself. Fantastic work, and again, thanks from everyone. Thanks, I guess. Man, this CPU's physics score is so bad. We'll try to do something about that, though I don't have high hopes. Okay, so actually maxing the power limit apparently really didn't change the clocks. Though the score did go up, though that could just be run-to-run variance. Okay, so I guess let's start overclocking the memory. Okay, so this goes in like Oh, okay, yeah, so this has like the massive frickin' steps. Let's try run that again. Combined looks good though. Like 24,000 points combined, like, I don't know, it might be because I use GPUs that are really, really slow most of the time. So I'm not used to seeing a combined of over 20K. Because I think, yeah, I have like probably like 2 GPUs that can do a combined score of more than 20,000 points. And that's this one and the one in my daily system. What? The thing with multi-threading is that it's such a pain. Like it's just like I've looked into like how do I do multi-threading for my AI and it's just like I've read the like and it, like I don't get how like I don't get how to use it. Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. Um cuz it's like there's like a physics process, right? Cuz it's like cuz I've actually messed with like multi-threading in Java way back and that was pretty easy cuz like each of the threads just kind of did its own thing and then they'd finish doing it and then like and I didn't really have to like there wasn't really any like timing concerns, right? Like I didn't have to worry about things happening out of order because they were completely independent. And so that worked just fine. But then with the game engine it's like, yeah, but like when objects start moving, that needs to be like synchronized on the like that has to be handled by like the physics process. Um and like it's just a mess. So I can't do like at this point it's too late. I can't fix it. I might look into making like entity instancing its own thread because that looks like I might be able to like it maybe I don't know. Like the thing is with the multi-threading is like I don't like the handoff is like the part I don't get. It's like okay, I want to do something on another thread and then where does it go? Like where does it go? Okay, so that really didn't boost the score very much. Did I just crack? Oh no, it's in power savings, isn't it? Okay, 13. That should run, I think. Run again. The thing is, like, the documentation I read was like, oh, you, like, bind a function to the thread. And I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, you make a thread, okay. And then how do I get the thread to do stuff? And that's the part that just didn't make any sense to me. Because I think in Java, the way it worked is I just, like, the threads were just, like, a class. So you just made, like, a thread instance. And it just did its thing. It was great. And, like, I'm pretty sure that's how it worked. And then the way it works in Godot is like Not that, because it's like a game engine. So it has to do things on like a fixed time step, and it's just like, I don't know how to deal with that. This is a regular Fire Strike. I have absolutely no interest in using ChatGPT for anything. Um, okay, so I mean, I guess there's still more headroom on the memory because it hasn't crashed, so we'll just keep going with that. I actually don't know where 3080 Ti's normally max out on the memory. Oh, around 1350 to 1400. So at this point, it should crash. Or like it might, because like, I don't know. Yeah, but I don't want to copy paste like somebody else's code. Especially for something like multi-threading, because then if it doesn't work or it like breaks at some point, I'm just going to be completely unable to fix it. It's Y-Cruncher, not Y-Crusher. I would not use Combustor because that's literally just Furmark. Like for testing the GPU, like what I personally do for like my daily system is I just play games, and if I start seeing artifacts, I tab out and drop the clocks. Is the VGA LED on? Yeah. Does that mean anything? Oh, I guess, yeah, that shouldn't be on. I wonder why it's on. Oh, you need to run a firmware update. Wait, why? Oh, well, I guess we'll see if I can get into the BIOS then. Nah, I wouldn't say for CPU, it's... Like, the thing is, if your GPU crashes, it's not going to write anything to the hard drive, right? Whereas your CPU crashing can legitimately ruin the operating system. Okay, so it's still not crashing, so I guess we'll just keep pushing the memory higher. Can't GPU access memory and drive directly? Yeah, but why would it? Like, your GPU will generally not have a reason to write anything back. Like, it might read stuff, sure, but, like, as long as it doesn't try to write anything, you're basically safe. Or, like, mostly safe. Like, technically, like, if the system crashes hard enough at the wrong time, then, like, you'll still have a problem, but with GPU overclocking, that's far less of a concern than memory or CPU. Ryzen 3 3300X as good as the R5 3600? Not really. Like, as long as you don't need more than 4 cores, then, like, sure, but otherwise, no. Actually, depending on the situation, the 3300X might be slightly better. What's your goal today? I don't know. I mainly want to play with the 3080 Ti. Because this thing's been sitting on a desk for, like, forever. I think the score went down. Oh, yeah. Wait, so... Well, we'll just keep going up and see what happens. Because I wonder, like, does this even... This might have error correction, I guess. Max stable value of UCLK? Pretty much just SoC voltage. Like, you do technically need to have your VDDIO and VDDQ set appropriately for the motherboard and BIOS you're running, but usually like 1.35 for both of those, or like 1.4 for both of those. Well, it depends on the motherboard, but like, and the BIOS, but like, if you set both of those to like 1.35-ish, like if the CPU can do 6600, it'll probably do 6600, and otherwise it won't. Or if the CPU can do 6400, it will, and if it can't, then it won't. At 1.3 SoC. You use any kingpin parts for overclocking? I've used KPX in the past, and I have some Kingpin LN2 pots, but they're old ones, and they're not very good. I have a Tech 9 Fat, which is basically, like, it's so painfully slow as a GPU pot that, like, I was just like, the only reason I use it is, like, it has, like, an 8-point mount. So on some NVIDIA GPUs, it's a lot better in terms of mounting pressure. But as far as, like, actual, like, cooling performance, it's so slow. It's so incredible. Like, you can literally fill that thing up, and on, like, modern high-power draw GPUs, the temperature will just go up. It will just keep going up. And it's just, like, I really don't, it's so, yeah, so I'm not a fan of that pot. Even though it also has, like, slightly better compatibility than the Raptor 4 I have, because the Raptor has, like, a really wide base, whereas the Tech 9 is quite narrow, so there's, like, some cards where the Tech 9 will clear the capacitors and stuff, whereas a Raptor just doesn't. But, like, the Tech 9 from, like, a cooling performance is just, I really don't like it. It's so freaking slow. Um, like, for temperature control, it's horrendous. Because the other thing is it has, like, it has 2 big holes and then 2 smaller holes, and that's it. So what also tends to happen is that you'll, like, have you'll try to add LN2 to it, and it'll all just end up in one of the holes and just not do anything. Because you're, like, not using even a fraction of the surface area of the pot. Not that there's much in the way of surface area in a Tech 9, but, like, man. So I really don't like that one. And I also have a Venom, which is good for, okay, it's not good for full pot, but, like, full pot, it's like, it's better than my Derbauer Fusion. But anywhere where it requires temperature control, it doesn't work because all of the mass is on the outer wall. And so basically you can have, like, you can basically cool down the outside without actually cooling down where the CPU is. And then when the CPU stops producing heat, all that, like, negative, like, it basically, like, when the CPU stops outputting heat, like, the cold from the outer wall just sort of crashes towards the middle. So even if it's empty, the temperature suddenly falls off a cliff because the load, and it's just, so I don't like it. I don't like either of them. They're both really not very, like, thermally optimized as far as I'm concerned. Like, the Venom is just uncontrollable, and the Tech 9 doesn't cool anything. It's just, like, there's later pots from Kingpin that have, like, more interesting internal geometry, and I bet those work significantly better. But the ones I have are, like, they're not. They're really not. Oh, and then I do have a couple Kingpin motherboards, but the thing is, like, I'm not a big fan of Intel right now. Like, I really like my X299 Dark. But, well, 11th gen was kind of awful. I didn't have a Z690 Dark. I do have a Z790 Dark, and honestly, like, the Apex for memory is just better. Yeah. You own it? Yes, I have a Z390 Dark. I have an X299 Dark, Z390 Dark, Z590 Dark, and Z790 Dark. So I kind of have, like, every other one for the Intel side of things. I would literally take a 10900K over an 11th gen anything any day of the week. What do you think about the X870E Apex? I haven't seen anything. Like, I haven't seen it. Like, I've seen the leak that, like, there's, like, like, Asus, what was it, trademarked the name or something? Or, like, registered the name somewhere? But yeah, until I see it, like, I don't know what to think. I have a 980 Ti KPE and a 1080 Ti KPE, yeah. And I also have a bunch of dead 980 Ti KPEs, because 980 Ti's just die constantly. It's their one true purpose in life is for a 980 Ti to either have the core will explode for no reason, the VRM will explode for no reason, the memory VRM will explode for no reason. If you have a Kingpin edition, the 3.3 volt rail will randomly die for no reason. I have one 980 Ti Kingpin edition where the 3.3 volt rail is internally shorted inside the core. Like, man. Like, 980 Ti's are just not built to last. Which, I mean, I guess that's you know, a good thing for NVIDIA. Makes it a lot easier to sell GPUs if they keep self-destructing. I guess we can just keep going on the memory. I'm kind of wondering if, like, overclocking the CPU is going to do anything for the physics score. It's like, I bet it's not going to get anywhere near a 14900K, because, like, a 14900K at stock gets, like, 60,000 points in physics, which is kind of wacky. Because Firestrike doesn't, like, that physics test is kind of weird in that it, like, works really well with the E-cores. And then for some reason, well, I guess the E-cores have less latency than a second CCD does. High frame rate, black line flickers? No. Is it, like, at stock, or is it overclocked? Because if it's overclocked, that's probably your core giving up. Depends on the GPU, though. Also, like, how thick is the line? Is it, like, thin, or... Like, is it, like, a couple pixels, or is it, like, the bottom half of the frame disappearing? Oh. Or 9380. Yeah, I'd say that's probably the core complaining about something. I don't know. It might be the display drive complaining. I don't know. I've not really, like, Tonga is not really something I've messed with very much. The X58 Northbridge literally only handles the PCIe and the connection to the chipset. It has, like, nothing to do with the RAM. At least, like, it doesn't actually have a memory controller in it. Now, I think the memory controller voltage might be shared with the Northbridge. Display would be, no, vertical. If you have an AMD GPU and you have, like, a vertical row of bad pixels, that's usually, like, a dead memory chip. You'll just get, like, a missing, like, you'll get, like, a stripe of corruption because it's like each memory chip contains, like, a specific stripe of pixels for the whole screen. So if one of your memory chips is, like, bad, you'll get, like, one stripe which basically indicates which memory chip it is. Man, the score the score floats around too much, and I guess I'm not really changing the memory clock very much either, so that's not helping. I'm surprised, like, how is it, like, I was expecting it to, like, crash at some point, and we still haven't crashed it yet. Why would I run Vega on X58? That's just dumb. Best RAM for a 7800X 3D? Do you want it to work, or do you want it to, like, get good benchmarks? Because if you want it to work, I would still say buy 6000 CL30 and then manually overclock it. If you want something that looks good in screenshots, you can try your luck with an 8000 like CL38 Expo kit. And there's like a decent chance it won't work. Man, this thing kicks out a lot of heat. You know, I might end up making a little like benchmark scene for my game because it's really easy. Um, yeah, like I could just repurpose the test zone a bit. Just like set up a box where you like look at a very specific pixel and then it just has the AI run around. Um, and then I could like not like it's not really relevant to anyone, but like I find it interesting. Just like run all the CPUs through it and see how they behave. Because I figured with my god-awful code, the 7800X 3D would be, like, better than a 9950X. But apparently my code is so bad it doesn't fit in the L3 cache. Man, it keeps, like, hovering up and down. Like, evidently the memory is just not doing anything anymore. I don't think. So let's try touching the core clock a bit, which, I have low expectations for this because this out of the box is already just under 2 gigahertz. So, oh, and it doesn't want to boost up. Thanks, NVIDIA. Very cool. Can you recommend a 980 Ti? Strix. Strix or, yeah, I'd probably go for a Strix 980 Ti. Or a Matrix. But I think the Strix actually has a better heatsink. Trying to think if there's other ones that, like... The thing is like the Gigabyte ones have a tendency to have the memory VRM blow up, and that's like really bad because it regularly kills all the memory chips and the memory controller, and then like the whole GPU is spare parts. The MSI ones, like memory VRM blows up, core VRM blows up, really everything blows up. Reference 980 Ti's, everything blows up. Kingpin editions, if you find a working one, consider yourself lucky. Because I've seen more dead Kingpin KP 980 Ti's than I've seen working ones. Though it might be because people consider them rare, so they're willing to like list them even when they're broken. But yeah, like 980 Ti's like I have a lot of 980 Ti's at this point, but that's because like I find broken reference 980 Ti's on eBay, and I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be a fun little like project to fix it? And it's like, and so now I have like, I think like 3 or 4 reference 980 Ti's, where not a single one of them had a like every single one of them was like a vCore VRM failure. The latest, the most recent one, I actually got like a pretty nice 3Dmark score with it. 75. Nah, I have like HD 7770s where the core like Like it's yeah, like where the BGA seems to fail a lot for like the really low end AMD 7000 series GPUs. Um, I think those might be an outlier in that, but like, yeah. So in terms of reliability, well, GTX 970, EVGA GTX 970s have the V-Core VRM blow up. Um, but I haven't seen a blown up 980 Ti Strix VRM. Like I think I've seen some people with like the backplate shorting out a capacitor on the back of those cards, but the VRM itself doesn't just randomly kill itself. Though I bought a 980 Ti Strix that was broken, and the reason it was broken is the core was shattered. Actually, no, it wasn't shattered. That one was just internally shorted. Yeah, the core was just like shorted out on the inside. Um, so like 980 Ti's are just like as far as I'm concerned, they're not something you buy because you expect it to last very long. It's because it's like I don't even see them as being particularly fun to overclock on ambient. Um, but like, yeah, like 980 Ti's are like they're not very reliable. Um, like Asus GTX 970s, I wouldn't see a problem with it. Or like 980, like GTX 980s are actually generally built pretty well. Like even the reference GTX 980 PCB is just not that bad. Um, Mostly because the 980 and 970 don't really like they pull kind of similar amounts of power, except the 980 had a much higher launch MSRP, so the 980s are built a lot better, whereas the 970s are like cutting every corner possible to get the PCB like to hit the MSRP that Nvidia set for the for 970s. Um, Because, yeah, the GTX 970, so the 980 was, what? Why is there? Oh, yeah, so the 980 launched for $550, and the 970 was 350, 330. It was like, so like $200 cheaper. And the result of that is that the PCBs for GTX 970s are just horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Um, so yeah, and the EVGA ones are especially bad because EVGA couldn't even be bothered to put a VRM heatsink on the cards. So you have like a crappy little 4-phase and no heatsink on it, which is just like, yeah. But hey, it was really cheap. Gigabyte 970, actually, yeah, yeah, the Gigabyte 970, MSI 970 are fine. I don't think I've seen one of those blown up, at least not with the regularity that the EVGA 970s do. And the Asus 970 is also fine. That's like a 6-phase V-core. Because I think most like both Gigabyte and MSI will actually like integrate the VRM cooling into the heatsink, whereas EVGA just like didn't. Like there's just nothing there. It's just bare PCB. Any point in setting the VRM switching frequency on FX? You can mess around with it, I guess. Like I'm not sure how much it'll actually do though. Because like the funny thing with the VRM switching frequency setting on a lot of boards is that it doesn't necessarily help the voltage regulation at all. 970 was a very small heatsink on VRM, but it's a 6-phase, whereas the EVGA PCB is a 4-phase, and like the high density layout, like they just crammed all the MOSFETs into as little area as physically possible, and then you don't even get a heatsink at all. And it's just like, yeah, it's not really surprising that like you find EVGA 970s with blown up V-Core VRMs. Um, Actually, what's funny is EVGA even made a 6-phase version of that PCB, and that still blows up. Because that one does have a plate, literally a plate, with like a thermal pad, which is like, have you ever, like, if you look, like, the point of a heatsink is that it increases the surface area of a, like, effectively increases the amount of surface area that, like, a heat producing component has. How much more surface area does a plate have compared to a PCB? Like, zero, because they're both 2D plates, right? Like, a PCB is a flat plane, and a metal plate is also a flat plane. Which is which really doesn't work for like the 980 Ti EVGA cards. Um, which is why the VCore VRM blows up on those so much. Because I think the reference blower actually probably has a better track record of not having the VRM blow up than the EVGA